How's it going, guys? Marty here, and today I thought we'd rate the JoJo Bizarre Adventures Stardust Crusaders stands. I recently finished the series and I loved it so much. I have a lot of opinions on these stands, and I thought we will rate them on this amazing tier maker. So to start off, we're going to go with Anubis here, who, I mean, he's got to go straight into A, let's be honest here. He's a stand that, well, as far as we're aware, cannot die. You know, if his user dies, well, he's had many users, if his user dies, he just carries on living. And JoJo did try to destroy that sword and still couldn't do it. He had to end up doing a bit of a chaos situation, just chucking it somewhere that it couldn't affect anyone. So yeah, super strong stand going in at A. Okay, next one we got here is Atum, which is very similar to his brother's stand, Cyrus down here. Both have the same abilities, but this one is slightly different, that they both have Soul Steal, but this one can also do a Soul Read. But I don't know, people really like these stands. My only problem with them personally is that you've got to agree to a bear. You kind of got to agree to lose your soul if you lose a game. So I mean, yeah, it worked well in the anime and the manga with this guy, because the gang were in a situation where you couldn't have left without doing a bet. There was no way out of the room. Like with Osiris down here, when you're in an open, you know, out in the open, you can just walk away and say, no, I don't want to play a game or anything like that. So yeah, it's a bit situational. It is a very strong stand though, but I am going to put it in at B. Probably a bit controversial, but he's going in at B. Next stand we got is Bastard. Straight away he's going in at F tier. Stupid stand. I mean, it's just a socket. It causes magnetism in your body, but it does it slowly over time. It's not instant. Also, just, you know, general life advice, don't go sticking your finger in power sockets, you know. I mean, you won't have a problem with this stand, will you? Now on the other side of things we have Cream, and Cream as well. Yeah, Cream's an S tier because what can I say about Cream? It opens voids to like another dimension. It's basically invisible. You can't see it, you can't smell it, other stand users can't detect it, and literally the only weakness Cream has is, yeah, like, it protects its user, but the only minor problem with Cream is that the user has to reveal his head to see around him. He can't just control it all the time. It's got to, you know, pop his head out every now and then to look, but apart from that, it's a pretty indestructible stand, to say the least. So Cream's going in at S. Next one we got here is Dark Blue Moon. Dark Blue Moon for me it's around a C tier because it's very situational. It's only good in water. So if you're not near a body of water, he's basically useless. The thing with Dark Blue Moon is, it even said in the anime, if all four of the stand users, you know, like Star Platinum and all that, had gone into the water with him, Dark Blue Moon would have beat them. It would have beat four of the stand users, which is crazy. So it's very strong, but it's very situational. So because of how situational it is, it's going at C tier. Next one here is Death 13. I really enjoyed the episode with Death 13, and that's why I'm going to put him in A. A stand that his weakness is that you've got to be very close to use him. Like with most powerful stands, you've got to be close. It worked well for his user. Like I'm trying to talk about the stand here, not the user, but the best explanation I can use is that user that, you know, it pretended to be a baby. Well, it was a baby. Most situations you wouldn't be able to get close enough to use them, but when you can use them, your target is just made, you know, immobile. They're asleep. They can't fight it. They can't fight you in the dream either. So it's an incredibly strong stand, and for me it's got to be an A tier. Next one we got here is Ebony Devil. Ebony Devil for me it's a pretty bad stand. It's probably going to go in at E or D. I mean, it wasn't completely useless. I'll put him at D. The thing with Ebony Devil is that it gets powered up from like the hatred of its user. So the more hatred his user has towards his target, the stronger Ebony Devil is, but it's a very small stand. It's not particularly strong. I think most other stands could probably easily beat it. So for me, it's got to be a D. Next one we got is Emperor. Emperor is, I'm really tempted to put Emperor in at F. It's just a gun, isn't it? And I know we always have these like jokes with Whole Horse and all like that. I don't think Emperor's actually managed to kill anyone. It's just, you know, it's done more damage to its user than it has to any of its foes. But like, I mean, it's good. It's we did find out it was quicker than Silver Chariot, and I actually think it was, I can't remember, was it quicker than Star Platinum? I don't think we ever saw that, but it was definitely quicker than Silver Chariot, which is crazy. I put it at E. I feel a bit bad putting it with absolute bastard down there, to be honest. Right, next one we got is Empress. Empress for me is probably about on the same level as Dark Blue Moon. Wasn't my favourite stand from when I watched it, but I can kind of see why it's good, because it obviously becomes a bit of a parasitic stand. It becomes part of its target, and they can't really do much about it without dealing massive damage to themselves. It also used Joseph's crazy, knowledge to be able to beat something like that by dunking it in oil and stuff, and basically hardening it to get rid of it. But yeah, I mean, it's strong, but it's not like it's not on the level of these, is it? If Empress fought anyone above this, it wouldn't win, let's be honest. Next stand we have is Geb. Geb was very strong. I'm probably going to put him in B tier. Geb is like, it's not the most long range stand, but for the power it has, it's extremely strong for a long range stand, because as we know, stronger stands tend to be, the user has to be super close, but like, the user for Geb was kilometers away, wasn't it? Miles away. It was crazy far, and he was still so strong, completely messed up Kakyoin, it did. And, it has the power to, it's super fast, it can dodge most things, it can deal out a fair bit of damage to it. So yeah, and plus with its, like I say, with its range, being such a long range stand, it basically completely protects the user, so it's going in a B. Next we have Hanged Man, another amazing episode. The Hanged Man episode is going in A already, I'm saying it now. Hanged Man, it's such a good stand, let's be honest. I'm tempted to put it S, but I still think it's not quite on the level of Cream and a couple other stands that are going to make it into S, but it's an extremely strong stand. The fact that it can't physically be damaged, really. I know they worked it out, obviously it moves by light, and you've got to be super quick to be able to hit that beam of light, but for the most part, because it's attacking you from a reflection, you can't attack back, you can't protect yourself from it. And like they showed, and you can even like use the reflection of your eye. Like, there's most stuff in the world you can't walk around where there's not a reflection, be it a puddle or a window or anything, you can't really stop Hanged Man. It's a super strong stand, so it's got to be an A. Next we have Hermit Purple. Hermit Purple for me it's probably an E tier. As much as I like that it's different, that it's not like, I was about to say, I like that it's not an attack based stand, but at the same time, a stand is there to, it should protect its user, really. It's a great intel stand. When I say it's a great intel stand, but, you've got to break a camera or have a TV nearby to use it in, most situations, especially as we saw in Stardust Crusaders, where they're in the deserts of Egypt for a lot of it. There's no TVs or cameras about to use, and it also showed to be quite inaccurate at times, especially I don't know if that was just a Dio thing or what, but yeah, great intel stand. It's basically useless when it comes. I think I can't remember who it was said it was the weakest stand, but I don't think it's as bad as Bastard, to be honest. It's a great intel stand. It's a great team-based stand, we'll call it, but it's got to be an E tier. Next we have Hierophant Green, and Hierophant Green for me has got to be A tier. A lot of people probably disagree with me, and I've got to admit, the first time I saw Hierophant Green, I was like, it's not that impressive, because obviously the first time we meet it is he faces Star Platinum, but this is Star Platinum we're talking about. It's such a strong stand. But later on, as it goes on, we see more and more of its abilities from Hierophant Green. That it can, use mind control. It can mind control, basically. It can take over other people's stands and control them and stuff like that. It's got its communication network. Has Emerald Splash, which is basically unavoidable attack. It's super strong. So yeah, Hierophant Green has got to be an A tier. Next we have High Priestess, and I think this is actually going to be another one that is A tier for me, simply because it can make itself into any mineral based object, be it a massive mountain or I think it became the whole seabed at one point. That's incredibly powerful, because in the world most things are mineral based, and if you can transform into anything, there's no restrictions whatsoever, like we see with some other stands later on where it comes to transforming. Being able to transform into anything mineral based is super strong, and as we saw in the anime, it was super hard for them to beat. It nearly did, wipe out the whole crew, to be honest, so High Priestess has got to be up there. Next one we've got here is Horus, and Horus for me, like I said, trying not to judge stands based on their stand users, because that'd be unfair, because a lot of these stands, their users were stupid. Let's be honest, they were some stupid stand users where they would just basically explain what their stand does, and then, you know, the team could just stop them. But, you know, if we're going off purely the stand, I think Horus is a pretty damn strong stand. Next we have Judgment. I really like the model for Judgment. I think he looks cool, but, you know, looking cool is one thing and having a decent ability is another. For me, Judgment probably sits in, probably going to put it in at a D tier, to be honest. The thing with Judgment is, obviously, if you're not aware that it's a stand, and it tricks you with its, oh, I'm a genie and stuff like that, it grants you 3 wishes. But the big flaw in that is, you know, if you saw something that looked like that, you're like, that's definitely a stand. If it says, I can grant you 3 wishes, you're just not going to give it any requests for wishes. I mean, it can't do anything against you, just attack it and end it. And even if you do fall for it, like Polnareff did, I don't think wishes he grants are particularly strong. A lot of them they're just clay based, aren't they? They're not particularly strong. So for me, he's a D. I don't think he's weak enough to put in as an E, because I suppose we only saw one aspect of it from that one episode he was in, but I'm sure he could do a lot more. But I just think having, you know, clay based illusions as they were, or whatever, clay soldiers, just they're not that strong. Next we have Justice, and Justice for me has probably got to go up to A tier. The fact that it can, you know, any cut or break in your skin, it can then put a seam through you and just immediately control you, and you can't do anything about it. The fact that you can puppet the dead, it can do illusion, it just has so much that it can do. Do I need to explain any further why it's got to be an A tier? Right, the next one we've got here is a bit hard for me to pronounce, so I do apologise. Is it Num or Kanum, or I don't know, I'm not very good with Egyptian, I'm afraid, but it's F. It's stupid. You can transform your face, you don't get any, you know, special powers from it, you literally just, you know, you shapeshift, you're basically like a, you know, like a shit Mystique from X-Men, aren't you? So it's F tier. Next we have Lovers. Lovers is a very interesting stand, that, you know, if you can, like I say, I think Lovers for me suffered through its stand user, because if he hadn't explained what his stand did, it could have easily beat the whole of the Star Crusaders, like the whole gang, because, you know, they weren't aware what he was doing until he just straight up explained, oh, it's in your, like, it goes through your ear canal and it takes control of your brain. You know, if he hadn't have said that, they wouldn't have been able to stop it, and the fact that, you know, he could just torment you to the point that you would have to hit him. I suppose that the weakness to Lovers is obviously its stand user said what its ability was, but, you know, if they didn't say that, it would have been super strong. But it's also, you know, your user is getting severely punished, but I suppose it's like a double-edged sword in the fact that, you know, if your stand user gets punished, the stand is going to do double damage to the person who did the damage to you. So yeah, so it's not super, it's like I said, I think it's a balanced stand, so it's not super strong, but it's not weak by any means. It's nothing like Ebony Devil and People. Next we have Magician's Red, and I know I've watched a lot of tier makers on JoJo stands, and a lot of people put Magician's Red quite highly, but for me personally, Magician's Red is probably a B tier for me. I don't think it's as good as Hierophant Green, just because it's kind of limited. Like I say, try not to put stands with their users too much, but I think the reason Magician's Red was so good was because obviously Muhammad Avdol was, you know, he trained with that stand for so long to get it up to a level where it was super strong. But like I say, to me, it's kind of like a polar opposite with Horus. They have similar sort of abilities, just different elements, of course. So for me personally, just because it kind of, I think the difference between a B and an A, how I'm ranking this, is kind of diversity. I just feel these stands here have a lot more to offer than the ones in B tier. Next we have Osiris, as I like to call it, the handsome Squidward meme. Yeah, he's going in the same with his brother, going as B tier. Super strong stand, if you can pull it off, you know, because even like the whole thing with, even if you don't say out loud that you feel like you're lost, if your soul feels like, oh, you know, there's no way of me winning this game or whatever, it just automatically takes your soul, that's it, you can't do anything about it. And obviously, you know, like his user did, if you cheat, you know, it's just an easy win, really. So yeah, it's a pretty strong stand, but it's not quite A or S tier. Next we have Set, and is it Set or Seth? I don't know, but Seth is unfortunate. Like I say, I keep banging on about this, but not comparing stands to stand users. His stand user was stupid, but pretty damn strong stand. I'm going to put him at B tier. You know, the fact that he is a shadow. You can't really damage him per se, you know. You kind of got to kill the user. You know, if he had a better user, you know, that was a bit more defensive and, you know, stayed away and, you know, wasn't just tormenting his target all the time, I think Set would have been utilised a lot better and, you know, would have come across as a lot stronger to us in the anime. But yeah, the fact that it's a shadow, it can do age reversal and pretty rapid age reversal, you know, it's not like a slow thing like Bastard, it's like instant, you know. If you set one pinky toe in that shadow, you've reverted to 6-year-old and you can't fight, you know. It's a pretty damn good stand, so yeah, B tier. Next we have Silver Chariot, and this is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I'm also going to put it in a B tier for me. I know a lot of people would say, you know, Magician's Red and Silver Chariot should be just as good as Hierophant Green, but for me, Silver Chariot is a damn good stand. It's super fast, but that's kind of all it has going for it. It's actually quite a weak stand. You know, that's all it can kind of bring to the table. It's fast and it stabs, and that's about it. So yeah, for me, I can't really give it an A. It's not that good. Next we have Star Platinum, and where do you think I'm going to put it? Of course it's going in S tier. Star Platinum is super strong, super fast, it's super precise, and obviously later on, you know, I'm sure I don't have to say spoilers now, because if you'd watched this far you've already had enough spoilers, but you know, it eventually learns how to stop time. It's pretty invincible stand, to be honest, you can't get much better. Next we have Strength, and Strength for me is, I think I've got to put Strength in DOE. It's another one of those. It's another one of those, I'm trying not to use its user against it, but it can just, I think it's only limited to making ships into bigger ships. It's kind of like worse Wheel of Fortune, and I think for that I'm going to put it E tier. Yeah, it's not that great of a stand, to be honest. Next we have the Fool, and unfortunately we didn't see enough of the Fool, in my opinion. You know, we didn't get many episodes where the Fool was, you know, fighting and stuff. I think we only had really 2 fights, and that was the one between Horus and the one between Cream later on, so we didn't get to see a lot of it. But I think it's a bloody good stand, to be honest. It is super powerful in the fact that, you know, it's basically just made out of sand, so you can't actually physically damage it, and because of that you can't physically damage the stand user, so it's great protection for the stand user. And obviously because it's sand, it can just morph into anything it wants to, you know, it even mimic Dio at one point. So I think because of its utility, this is probably, like I say, another controversial pick. Do I put it in A? I kind of wish I had like an in-between between A and B. I'm going to put it in B. I feel a bit bad if I put it in A and I'd put Magician's Red and Silver Chariot in B. So I'll put it in B, but I kind of want to put it in A, the Fool. Next we have the Sun, and I feel like a broken record here, but yeah, it's got to be another B for me. The Sun again, like I say, I don't like to bring up users, but the Sun only suffered because of its user. The fact that its user was so lazy and so stupid, you know, is the reason it ended. But you know, for the longest time, that stand, you know, completely, it nearly ended the whole journey right there. You know, the fact that it can turn up the heat as much as it wants and basically fry you alive. It can shoot super accurate lasers from it. You can't really stop that. If it, like I said, if it had a competent user, the Sun I rate it just as highly as things in B tier, so for me it's got to be B. And then next we have, and yeah, what can I really say about this? It would be hard to break apart Star Platinum and Zawaldo. Next we have Toph, and yeah, Toph for me, Oingo and Boingo, both of them just useless stands they had. Toph it predicts the future in manga form, but like I say, I don't know if it just never seemed to be right, did it? It just, a bit like Emperor, it was just a stand that just never seemed to get itself right, and it just never seemed to be super useful at all. And obviously because it has no offensive capabilities, it's F in it, it's useless. Next we have Tower of Grey, and Tower of Grey for me is probably a B tier. I'm going to give it. It's a super fast stand. I think it's even faster than Star Platinum, so that alone is quite a good achievement for it to say that. And then obviously it has its stinger, which is pretty deadly. The fact that because it's so fast you won't be able to hit it, I just think purely combat fate, you know, I'd say it's even better than Silver Chariot, so yeah, it definitely belongs in B tier. Next we have Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune for me it's better than Strength, but it's still not a very good stand. Like, it can transform a rust bucket car into something a bit more powerful, but you know, you just go places that a car can't get you, stay in a building or something like that, and it never appeared to be a very strong stand in my opinion, so yeah, it's got to go in a D tier for me. And lastly, I know we've got two here, but I'm ignoring them because they are stands, but they're not really ones that are brought up. This is hardly a stand, you know, that affects the whole anime, and this is Tenor Sax, which I'm not going to class them in this video. But lastly, we have Yellow Temperance, and Yellow Temperance for me, I think, is a very solid C tier. He was a very good stand, very strong, you know, it consumes basically all organic matter, recreate appearances of different things, and it even acts as like an armor for its user. But for me personally, it had utility, which I've already said earlier. Utility for me puts it up higher, but it didn't seem overly strong utility. I think it had utility, but it wasn't as strong as something like Hierophant Green or, you know, Justice or something like that. So for me, going in at C tier. Anyway guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave a like and leave a comment on what you thought, and if I got any of these wrong, I most definitely did get them wrong, but you know, you leave a comment where you think I probably went wrong and where you'd place things. Anyway guys, that's me. Until next time.